This is the big one. Dragon Ball DAIMA episode 10 is the episode where we finally get some answers regarding the super continuity question and some brand new lore, which confuses Super even more. But first, let's break down the episode from beginning to end and give all of my thoughts, and I will try my best to explain my perspective on the new status quo of the Dragon Ball multiverse. Let's get into Ku first. Majin Ku is very silly. Now look at this face. This dude is just here to chill and have a good time. He's doing his best, but he's simply not enough for Tamagami 1. I really like Majin Ku as a character so far, and I think just the little fight bits that we got with him in Tamagami 1 was interesting. As a little action set piece for the episode as a backdrop. And then I like this moment here with Goku when he says he's worried about Dende. Just a small heartfelt moment from Goku because he wants to get the Dragon Ball, but he also loves and cares about Dende, as you should. You know, Dende's been a essential party member ever since the Namek Saga. And then Supreme Kai, of course, is like, hey, we don't have to worry about Dende because if they would have killed him, if they wanted to kill him, they would do it already. So that makes sense. So this part was a little bit concerning. This is the most testy Dragon Ball joke I have seen in years of the franchise. I mean, all of Master Roshi's jokes, I don't think anything comes close to this. So Hybis is hitting on Bulma, and Vegeta's like, we're already married. And Hybis says, I won't mind, which is like, Hybis, come on, dude. You're simping hardcore. And this is like a Kendrick Lamar diss track moment here. I'm sure somebody's already got a Kendrick Lamar diss track parody wrote up. So Hybis says, I won't mind. And then Vegeta's like, I will. Are you asking to be pummeled? And then Bulma's like, oh, no, I want to stay a child because I have youthful skin and blah, blah, blah. And then Vegeta says, no, we're turning back together. And then Hybis says, oh, I get it. You like, what? Hybis, buddy, you have to chill. So Hybis is definitely the most cancelable Dragon Ball character. More cancelable than Roshi, I believe. I think this is insane, Hybis. You need to be put on a watch list. But anyway, the point is that Bulma wants to stay youthful. We saw this being set up in previous episodes. This could be alluding to the fact that in Resurrection F, she is already using the Dragon Balls secretly, and in Dragon Ball Super Superhero, she's using the Dragon Balls for other features, like a butt, I don't want to say a butt implant, but basically just to make herself look more young. So you can definitely see how they're picking up on that here, and maybe in the end of Z, whenever she's complaining about being old and looking old, maybe like it all catches up to her at once. Who knows? But again, that's the end of Z. That's a whole other story. Anyway, we go back with Ku, and he's putting up a good fight against Tamagami 1. But to no avail. I did want to mention that Ku is using a lot of moves here that I could easily see them using. They probably specifically made Ku have such a wide variety of moves for Sparking Zero or Xenoverse. I just hope whenever they bring him to the games, he's not like a joke character. Because I do think he is meant to be funny, but I don't want him to be weak like Mr. Satan, because as he does explain to Ariansu, he's strong. It's just the Tamagamis are stronger. Oh, and I wanted to mention this. They have Krakens in this episode, and they had Minotaurs and werewolves previously. So I guess the Demon Realm has a lot of mythical, fantastical creatures like Krakens, werewolves, probably have vampires and things like that. So I think that's interesting for something to set the Demon Realm apart. And I really like this animation here, like this little sequence, but I thought it was interesting that Goku just wasn't letting them get off and just completely destroyed all of their planes. They keep calling them planes. I'm just are they ships? Are they planes? They're planes, I guess. And I believe this has to be a reference to the Dragon Ball Super Broly scene of Goku breathing on the windshield of the ship, in this case the plane, and he's even got his cheeks puffed up like he did in Super Broly, so it's got to be a small reference. And then I thought this was a great screenshot to really illustrate how fearful Ku is, Majin Ku. He's so fearful of Tamagami 1. And I really like Tamagami 1. Tamagami 3 was entertaining. He was big and blusterous. Tamagami 1 is all about honor, I think. He's probably like the samurai of the Tamagami because he's got the sword. And I really loved this Dragon Ball Z redrawn scene. I think they'll probably have more of these because, you know, they did Super Saiyan 3 Goku versus Buu in another episode. And, of course, episode 1, we all know what they did. I really like seeing just, like, the classics redrawn. It's like the easy nostalgia bait, but it gets me every time. And, of course, we got some new information about the trees. This could also work into the lore of Orange Piccolo. Because of, you know, Shinron, the Namekians, the Dragon Balls, things like that. So it's all going back to the demon realm. So Orange Piccolo, having such a close connection to these trees, of course, from the demon realm, this is just early speculation. I'm sure this will probably be answered in later Dragon Ball Super chapters if we ever get a continuation. I could see, like, Orange Piccolo being like a more, like, retconned into being labeled as like a demon god form or something, if that makes sense. And then, of course, Piccolo is asked by Bulma, Piccolo, are you glad, or do you miss your planet? Do you miss your home planet? It must feel weird. And Piccolo's all like, I wouldn't know. It was my father who lived here. Some people were confused. They were saying his father, Demon King Piccolo? No, whenever he's talking about his father, he's talking about Katatsu. I made little notes. But yeah, Katatsu is his father, because if you guys remember, in the Namek Saga, it was answered that the nameless Namekian was the child of Katatsu, who left the planet Namek. So if you guys just keep that in mind, Piccolo is the reincarnation / son of Demon King Piccolo. So he's kind of like both. So you could say the nameless Namekian is Piccolo. If you guys remember, he is no longer Piccolo. He is merely a Namekian who's forgotten his true name. So he is the child of Katatsu. So this is the person he's referencing from Namek. Katatsu. So it's not Demon King Piccolo. It's Katatsu, who was from the Demon Realm, who probably left the Demon Realm to go to Namek. And then the nameless Namekian left Namek to go to Earth. Just try to keep up. Alright, anyway, they talk about, Goku and Vegeta talk about how the Kraken is too powerful for them. For a moment I was like, is this weird? Do I want to complain about this? But I think it's cool that there's like monsters that are too powerful for them at this point. You know, Goku is able to defeat the Tamagami, but you're telling me a Kraken is stronger than Tamagami 3? That's interesting. That's interesting. And this is where I was like, I love Majin Buu. So if you guys watched my previous video, I talked about how I liked Majin Buu. Basically, give him a chance. I like his design. But he says he couldn't beat it. And then he talks about being a good singer and being pretty fast, so he can be valuable if you send him shopping. I love Majin Buu. I love his personality. He's just here to have a fun time. He's silly. He's quick. He's a decent fighter. You know, he's not like Goku level, I don't think, because, well, maybe Goku would also have a hard time beating Tamagami 1. So maybe he is Goku level, but he is not like super weak like Mr. Satan. He's just here to have a good time. He's still valuable. You know, he could go do your grocery shopping and stuff. I really like Majin Buu. A lot of people are coming around to him, which is interesting. That's kind of like the cycle of a Dragon Ball fan. You hate something at first and then you like it. Some people are still not liking him, but I think the longer it goes on and you get to see more of his personality, if they don't kill him off, I do think he's a fun character. I hope I get to play as him because he's actually a really fun character. And we actually learned that Namekians in the Demon Realm were treated as slaves by Abra. So that's interesting here. Oh, I thought this was funny because Goku's basically speaking for the Dragon Ball Z audience who watch this and don't like the lore that Dragon Ball DAIMA is introducing. Supreme Kai's like, I can tell you the story, and Goku's like, no, we don't need to hear that. I thought this is like so funny. He's like the avatar for those of you who have been telling me it's too much lore, there's not enough action. But this is the good Supreme Demon King of the age that sought to expand the Demon Realm. He looks pretty cool. A lot of people were saying this is the most Dragon Quest looking Dragon Ball character. I could see it. Easily could see it. He's got a really cool design. So this guy's name is called Rymus. He is the highest authority in the universe. So he is apparently the one responsible for creating the multiverse as per the instructions of the good Supreme Demon King who sought to expand the Demon Realm. So what a lot of people are talking about is that he looks kind of like the Omni King. But how do him and the Omni King exist simultaneously? So we already have early theories, like maybe this is the god of creation for the multiverse, and then the Omni King is the god of destruction for the multiverse. I don't know. It's kind of too early to speculate on this, but this does have connections to Super, because Rymus chose a select few Glens. You can see there's Gowasu, right? Gowasu, iconic. And then here's all the other Supreme Kais that they introduced in the Tournament of Power. And he basically sent them out to monitor the universes as Supreme Kai. So here is your firm Dragon Ball Super connection. They're showing you characters introduced in Dragon Ball Super. Now here's the confusing thing. Dragon Ball Super, you actually have Goku and Vegeta learning about the multiverse for the first time. Whereas here, they're learning about the multiverse for the first time. So that's an inconsistency that's just always going to be there. And we've always had inconsistencies that are just always going to be there all across Dragon Ball. You know, there's basically nothing you can do about that. Sorry about that, I got a call. But anyways, yeah, we're always going to have inconsistencies with Dragon Ball. This is the closest that you're going to get to them establishing that Super is canon. But at a certain point, there's too many contradictions. Like, there are some contradictions that are just a little bit too ridiculous. But keep in mind, like I said, we don't know how the gods of destruction work into this yet. This could just be the whole creation aspect, though. Because, you know, with creation comes destruction. They've always talked about in Super that the Supreme Kai is basically the creation to Beerus's destruction. So you could say that Rymus is the Omni King of creation, and then these are the Kais of creation. And then maybe Zeno comes in later, and we get the whole God of destruction hierarchy thing. But, again, that's just speculation on my part. It's too early to call there. Oh, and this is funny because there's a very big theory that the Saiyans were from the Demon Realm, and very simply it is deconfirmed or dismantled, or however you want to say it, right here. For example, Earthlings and Saiyans were created after the universe was born. So obviously this means that they are not from the Demon Realm. Sorry to those of you who were speculating that the Saiyans were from the Demon Realm. It's a good theory. It was a fun theory while it lasted. This is the Abra character, Deborah's father. I always wondered why they designed him in the intro. Could they have designed him just for this flashback? Probably. Possibly. It's likely. But he is the one that limited the use of warp. So he was kind of taking a Demon Realm first approach. Very interesting villain there. Bulma makes the observation that the Glens are going to eventually die out. I thought this was interesting. So all the Kais that you see in Dragon Ball Super, for example, Zamasu, they're basically the last of their kind. I wonder, like, if we're going to get a mention of that again later on, like if the Kais are dying out, will they start like looking to other beings to be the Kais? Well, I should say if the Glens are dying out. If the Glens are dying out, then they'll probably look to other beings to become Kais. I theorize that. For example, real quick, King Kai. He is a regular dude, right? He's not like a Glen. He does not look like a Glen. So, well, I guess you could argue that he probably looks like a Glen. He just looks a little bit more insect-like. So that's another thing. Anyways, we have the preview for the next episode. And as you can see, we are probably going to get Dr. Ariansu scheming, trying to create another Majin character. And then we have Vegeta fighting Tamagami 2. As you know, there is a big leak that I will mention now. But before we get into the spoilers, I want to say I give this episode an 8 out of 10. I thought the lore was popping off this episode. The humor was really insane. This joke right here was wild. It was wild. But it was a really good episode. I really enjoyed it. I got to give it an 8 out of 10. Lots of lore, some action, and then like a really promising setup for the future. For example, Vegeta fighting Tamagami 2 and Ariansu scheming. So yeah, I got to give it an 8 out of 10. Now, let's get into the spoilers. So, not a big spoiler, but Vegeta will turn Super Saiyan 3 as per Geekdom 101. Although his Super Saiyan 3 will have his spiky hair floating upwards, And I could see it during this fight happening. Maybe Vegeta has a tough time with Tamagami 2, and he accesses Super Saiyan 3. That's just a theory, but the leak is that we know he will access it sometime during this series. And the episode's called Legend, so maybe it's a reference to like the Legendary Super Saiyan. Again, Legendary Super Saiyan doesn't mean what it used to mean. Legendary Super Saiyan is just like a form, basically. It's like a coming of age. It's like a prophecy. It could reference Broly, but I think it's also referencing the prophecy about the Saiyan, the Super Saiyan, Goku, things like that. But I do think it is possibly referencing Vegeta maybe turning Super Saiyan 3. And then I think the obvious other thing is that if you guys know Majin Buu, he's probably being created here in this next episode. I don't think that they're going to waste too much more time. But they could also maybe take some time to create other beings. Maybe Majin Buu isn't the final villain either. I do know that there was a prior leak that Majin Buu is not a big final villain. And of course we know that at this point. That's obvious, right? And I think that there are other things to keep in mind. Like Majin Buu is nothing to Tamagami 1. And I don't think Tamagami 1 is going to be the final villain. So I do think that whatever final villain we get, being born from Majin Buu's DNA, is going to be very, 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 very powerful. Anyways, guys, that will be it for this review. I did want to mention some spoilers there at the end, but I'm really enjoying DAIMA. Some would say I'm even loving it, and I think the community is starting to be a little bit more positive toward it. I'm still seeing some negativity about it, but you're always going to get negativity with anything. So, anyways, that will be it for this video. If you enjoyed it, make sure you leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to keep up to date with all things Dragon Ball, news and commentary, and I will catch you in the next one. Peace off.